In a world saturated with speed, noise, and consumption, there are companies that do more than sell. They organize reality. They build the infrastructures we do not see, yet without them, nothing truly works. Amazon is one of them. It's not a brand, it's an ecosystem, a matrix, a presence woven into everything we touch. And behind it, a man, Jeff Bezos, whose birth chart looks more like that of a cold architect than that of a dreamer. In this episode, we'll dive into the soul of Amazon, uncover its roots, its celestial code, and read through its planetary cycles to glimpse what lies ahead in the years to come. Welcome to AstroBourse, where the market meets the sky. To understand Amazon, we have to return to its origins and to its creator. In 1994, a man left a very comfortable position on Wall Street. His name was Jeff Bezos. He was 30 years old, a mathematician's mind, an engineer's discipline. What he saw wasn't a product, it was a phenomenon, the internet. Back then, the web was an empty field, but Bezos read a study predicting a 2,300% annual growth. And he understood one simple thing. Whoever could structure this space, make it fluid, predictable, and navigable, would own the world. He moved into a garage in Seattle. A wooden plank served as his desk, and a world map on the wall marked his first customers. That's where he shipped the first books by hand with his wife. But even then, his message was different. He told his employees, "We are not a bookstore. We're a technology company." That sentence, spoken before the first sale, said everything. Jeff Bezos wasn't selling books. He was testing a system, a way to deliver desire to its perfect satisfaction. Bezos's Mercury in Capricorn thinks in structures. His Mars in Capricorn acts as an architect, and his Sun in the 10th house seeks to build something that will outlive him. Very quickly, he expanded. Music, electronics, clothing. But most importantly, he created the marketplace, a space where other sellers could use his system. Amazon stopped being a store. It became a global infrastructure of commerce. But what Bezos understood before anyone else was that the future wouldn't be built on merchandise, but on data. AWS is the hidden treasure. Behind the facade of an online store, Amazon quietly built the largest private digital infrastructure on Earth. That entity is called AWS, Amazon Web Services. And if you remember just one thing, it's this. Without AWS, a large part of the internet would go dark. At first, AWS wasn't meant to be a commercial product. In the 2000s, Amazon simply needed a massive internal infrastructure to handle its own traffic. Millions of transactions, billions of pages, thousands of servers. Bezos realized that what he was building, this digital skeleton, could serve others too. Instead of selling products, he decided to sell power. In 2006, AWS was officially born. The decision seemed small at the time, but it was the greatest economic pivot of the 21st century. The concept was simple, yet revolutionary. Instead of buying their own servers, companies could rent Amazon's. They paid only for what they used, by the minute, by the request, on demand. That was the birth of modern cloud computing. The result? Companies became lighter, faster, more flexible, and Amazon became the infrastructure provider of the entire digital world. Today, AWS powers more than a quarter of the internet. Names like Netflix, Airbnb, Spotify, NASA, Pfizer, the CIA, BNP, all run on Amazon's servers. Every time you stream a show, listen to a song, or receive a digital invoice, there's a 1 in 4 chance that the data passes through Amazon. The numbers are fascinating. AWS makes up only 15% of Amazon's total revenue, yet it generates nearly 60% of its profits, which means Amazon earns more money from its servers than from its packages. And that's the essence of its strategic genius. The logistical storefront, the e-commerce site, is just a mask. The real heart of the empire is underground, silent, energetic, an invisible machinery that keeps the digital world alive. Astrologically, AWS is the perfect embodiment of Amazon's Saturn in Pisces. Saturn is structure. Pisces is liquid, intangible. Together, they give shape to the invisible. Amazon built a stable architecture out of flows, data, and clouds. It's also the reflection of Pluto in Scorpio. Invisible power, deep, total, buried within the network. That power isn't spectacular. It's subterranean, constant, inevitable. AWS is the digital bloodstream of the modern world. And now, AWS is entering a new era, the age of artificial intelligence. Amazon is developing Bedrock, a generative AI platform, and Amazon Q, an assistant for businesses. In other words, after hosting the world's data, Amazon now wants to host the world's intelligence. It's the natural continuation of its natal chart, from the nurturing Cancer to the controlling Scorpio, from raw data to digital consciousness. AWS is where Amazon stops being a merchant and becomes a planetary organism, the backbone of the 21st century, the invisible heart that powers everything we call connected. And for investors, it's the part of Amazon to watch first, because it will define the company's value for the next decade. That's what AWS truly is, the visible face of Amazon's hidden power. A perfect structure, cold, rational, precise. Cables, numbers, servers, a near military organization of the digital world. But what financial reports never tell you is why this machine exists. Why does a company want to connect everything, centralize everything, know everything? That instinct isn't economic, it's deeper, almost biological. Amazon isn't just a corporation, it's an organism. And like every organism, it has a genetic code, not in its servers, but in its sky. Amazon was born on July 5, 1994, in Bellevue, Washington. That day, the sun stood in Cancer, the moon in Scorpio, a sky describing a company of sharp sensitivity, capable of both intuition and control. It's a chart ruled by water and earth, two elements that build, absorb, and transform. A company both maternal and methodical, nurturing and ruthless. With its sun in Cancer, Amazon doesn't appear aggressive. It doesn't seek open domination, but rather a benevolent presence. It wants to make your life easier, to accompany you, to anticipate what you might need, before you even ask for it. It's a protective, enveloping, almost maternal energy. But Cancer has a shadow side, emotional possession. It nurtures, yes, but it also holds on. Amazon gives you comfort so that you stay. It offers you convenience so that you never leave. It doesn't impose, it surrounds. And slowly, it becomes your natural environment, the digital home you live in without realizing it. That's the true strategy of the Cancer Sun. Loyalty born from dependency. If Amazon's sun protects, its moon in Scorpio controls. Scorpio never acts on the surface. It infiltrates, observes, transforms, silently. It's the sign of collective psychology, the one that understands desires and unconscious fears. Amazon translated that into digital language, algorithms. It knows what you want before you do. It senses trends before they take shape. It's not magic, it's mass emotional reading. The Scorpio Moon is the world's memory. It records everything, digests everything, and reflects back what you haven't yet expressed. Its power through intimate knowledge. Amazon's Mercury in Leo speaks with confidence and authority. This company doesn't debate, it declares. Its slogans are short, commanding, absolute. The lowest price, the fastest delivery, the best service. Amazon doesn't try to convince, It defines the standard. It's a royal communication, confident, hierarchical. The voice of a market king who knows he sets the rules. Venus in Gemini reveals how Amazon seduces through diversity. It's a curious, quick, playful energy. A Venus that loves everything, wants to try everything, multiplies offers and promotions. It doesn't promise love, it promises choice, seduction through variety, through constant movement. Amazon enchants without attachment. The relationship isn't emotional, it's functional. This is the Venus of multiple connections. One click, one product, another, always elsewhere. Mars, planet of action, is in Virgo, and there, everything makes sense. It's the energy of logistical perfection, of obsessive precision. Every gesture, every second, every circuit is optimized. Mars in Virgo cannot tolerate disorder. It wants a perfect machine, a mechanism without error, pause, or flaw. Absolute discipline, cold rigor, surgical efficiency. That Mars is the very spirit of the Amazon machine, calibrated, measured, efficient. Jupiter, planet of growth, is also in Scorpio. And for Amazon, growth doesn't happen through open conquest, but through absorption. Whole Foods, Twitch, Ring, MGM. Every acquisition is a metamorphosis, an integration, a rebirth. Scorpio doesn't conquer, it assimilates. Amazon grows like an organism. It engulfs, digests, and then is reborn in another form. It's an alchemical kind of growth, almost biological. Saturn, planet of form and boundaries, is in Pisces, the sign of flow, movement, and dissolution. That creates a paradoxical architecture, solid yet liquid. Amazon doesn't need walls. Its empire is made of flows, flows of data, of goods, of automated decisions. It's a structure without borders, a fluid bureaucracy, a living system. Saturn in Pisces gives form to the invisible, and that's exactly what Amazon is, a global, dematerialized, omnipresent form. Uranus, the planet of rupture, lies in Capricorn. It's revolution, yes, but revolution through order. Amazon overturned the rules of commerce, but without chaos, without spectacle, by following, almost religiously, the laws of efficiency and productivity. It's a cold revolution, rational, administrative, precise, a calculated modernity without idealism. Finally, Pluto, planet of power and radical transformation, also sits in Scorpio, and here lies Amazon's deepest essence. Total mastery over the process of transformation. This energy didn't just change commerce, it changed our relationship to time, to desire, to patience. Amazon eliminated waiting, and with it, a part of our ability to desire. It reprogrammed our relationship to lack, to frustration, to the rhythm of time itself. That's Pluto in Scorpio, subtle control. We think we are free in our choices, but we act inside a gravitational field we no longer see. Amazon is an entity of water and earth, intuitive and methodical, maternal and strategic, fluid and structured. Its natal chart says something essential. It was born to nourish the world, to care for our needs, to simplify our lives. But its challenge now is to learn how to serve without possessing, to exist without absorbing everything it touches. That's where Amazon's entire destiny lies, between the tenderness of Cancer and the power of Scorpio, between care and control, between the home and the matrix. Amazon's birth chart tells a clear story. This company wasn't born to sell, but to shape. It doesn't simply exist in the world. It reorganizes it, reshapes it in its own image. But like every powerful organism, it moves through cycles, periods of expansion and fusion, followed by purification and focus. And today's sky speaks of one of those turning points. Saturn tightens the margins. Uranus shakes the models. Jupiter prepares the ground for the next wave of growth. It's 2025, and for the first time in a long while, Amazon is questioning itself, reorganizing, sorting, recalibrating. It's not the end of an empire. It's the moment when a giant force looks at its own weight and decides to shed some, to run faster. So now, let's leave its birth sky and move into the motion of the planets. Let's see how the current transits are reshaping Amazon's economic future, and what they tell us as investors about the right moment to watch, to wait, or to buy. 2025 marks a change in tone for Amazon. After 2 decades of continuous expansion, frantic diversification, and silent conquest, the company is entering what astrologers call a Saturnian return of adjustment, a period when reality imposes its limits, when it becomes necessary to sort what serves the future from what only adds weight. Saturn, planet of structure and responsibility, directly influences Amazon's house of productivity and organization. And concretely, it manifests without ambiguity. 14,000 layoffs announced, perhaps up to 30,000 by 2026. A number that frightens the media, but in truth, it's not a sign of collapse, it's a structural purge. Amazon is shedding what clutters its mechanism. It's trimming middle management, refocusing its services, and restoring discipline where expansion had created confusion. It's a classic Saturnian moment, the time when a company must become sober again, clear, legible. Andy Jassy, the current CEO, speaks of greater agility. Saturn would simply call it a return to essentials. This transit will last until mid-2026, and such demanding periods often prepare the ground for the most durable rebounds. While Saturn imposes boundaries, Uranus, planet of disruption and innovation, is working through Amazon's sectors of technology and partnerships. And here again, reality mirrors the sky perfectly. Amazon is multiplying its strategic alliances, with RWE for green energy and energy security, with Roku for connected television advertising, with Qualcomm for intelligent vehicles, with Wiley to integrate science into its AIs, and even with the NBA to process real-time game data through AWS. Uranus is the breath of the future, the electricity in the air, the ability to sense change before it becomes visible. Under this transit, Amazon is reinventing itself at the crossroads of 3 worlds: artificial intelligence, energy, and media. It's preparing for an era when servers will no longer provide just power, but computational consciousness. It's the mutation of a technical enterprise into a cognitive organism. Uranus often signals risky, visionary, even unsettling decisions. That's the case here. Amazon is reshaping its priorities to position itself no longer as a distributor, but as the infrastructure of the future. And while Saturn cleanses and Uranus innovates, Jupiter, planet of expansion and prosperity, is slowly moving toward Amazon's sector of technology and communication. This transit will be fully active between 2026 and 2027. In other words, the difficult decisions made today, the layoffs, the reorganizations, the divestments, are preparing the ground for a new cycle of growth. Jupiter amplifies everything it touches: AI innovation, cloud development, new partnerships, but also the brand's visibility and public perception. If Saturn embodies selection, Jupiter is the harvest, and everything indicates that this harvest will begin to bear fruit as AWS fully integrates its generative AI tools, notably Bedrock and Amazon Q. In investor language, that means a progressive bullish recovery supported by fundamentals that have become solid again. On the economic level, the signals align perfectly. Operational costs are declining. AWS margins remain above 25%. Cloud revenues continue to grow at double-digit rates. Debt stays under control. And above all, Amazon is rebalancing its model. Less dependence on e-commerce, more income from infrastructure, advertising, and artificial intelligence. It's an internal metamorphosis, exactly in the spirit of Scorpio, the sign that dominates its chart, destroying an old form in order to be reborn as something stronger, more adapted. The danger doesn't come from collapse, but from overexpansion. And that's precisely what Saturn corrects. Astrologically, Amazon can be summarized by 3 planets. Saturn, discipline, reduction, purification, hence the layoffs, simplification, and return to profitability. Uranus, innovation, disruption, the invention of the new. And Jupiter, expansion, regain confidence, propulsion. And that's exactly what we observe in practice. A company reorganizing without collapsing, cutting to strengthen, preparing for a new upward cycle. Short-term, volatility, reactions to layoffs and quarterly results. Medium-term, 1 to 2 years, refocusing and AI acceleration. Long-term, 3 to 5 years, steady cloud growth and AI integration. Amazon 2025 is a bit like Microsoft 2015, a giant in mutation, seemingly slowing down, just before rising higher. Patient investors know this. It's in these adjustment phases that the strongest recoveries are born. To conclude, in astrology as in finance, cycles answer one another. What Saturn restricts today, Jupiter will release tomorrow. Amazon is moving through a Capricorn phase, demanding, rational, almost austere. But it's only a molting. Beneath the disciplined, a Jupiterian rebirth is taking shape, a phase of expansion, creativity, and confident innovation. For the lucid observer, this is not a moment for fear. It's a moment to look beyond the quarter. Because in 2026 and 2027, what we'll see will no longer be the star, nor even the cloud, but Amazon's intelligence itself, deployed across the world like a silent web. And perhaps, in that organized silence, lies the true strength of Scorpio, turning chaos into order, data into power, and structure into empire.